In the darkest shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read ancient tomes, the order of the Abracast. We are the brave and bold.
The Ages begins with the shocking story of Cain and Abel and the journey of violence and revenge spanning thousands of years, following Cain through his cursed life from an ancient invasion of malicious angels to the American Revolutionary War. A masterful, compelling journey through time, The Ages delves deep into arcane knowledge, myth, and legend. The art is stunning, and the story takes you on a journey where mortals, immortals, angels, and demons are all forced to deal with the folly that is God's creation. It's a beautifully dark and gritty ride through history. This 4-part story follows the astrological procession of the ages and how each 2,500-year age parallels major changes in the development of Earth's inhabitants. Cain's blasphemous struggle with the divine and sacred tyrant God will create and crumble empires, shape history, and cause a cosmic cataclysm.
Consider the bond of a cold climate, how it maketh man a slave. He must have shelter and food with fierce toil, yet hereby becometh strong against the elements, and his moral force waxeth, so that he is master of such men as live in lands of sun, where bodily needs are satisfied without struggle. Consider also him that willeth to succeed in speed or in battle, how he denieth himself the food he craveth, and all the pleasures natural to him, putting himself under the harsh order of a trainer, so by this bondage he hath at the last his will. Now, then, the one by natural, and the other by voluntary. Restrictions have come each to greater liberty. This is also a general law of biology. For all developmental structuralizations, that is, a limitation and specialization on an originally indeterminate protoplasm, which latter may therefore be called free in the definition of appendant. It's from Liber Aleph. DV per disciplinem colenda. I think I did it. Yeah! DV per disciplinem colenda. I'm sorry, I just had to take a victory lap on that one. I was stressing that out. All right, let's get to it. Boys, you ready? You ready, boys? Oh, that's wrong. Here we go.
The Abracast. Occult. History. Conspiracy. Violence.
right, welcome to the Abercast. I'm John. I'm your homeboy, John Towers, and thank you for tuning in today or this week or whenever. I really appreciate the opportunity for you guys to listen to me babble passionately about these things that I'm fascinated with and love to talk about. Before we get too far into this, I'm going fast. I'm gonna go fast for a reason. You're gonna understand here in a second. iTunes, please rate and review. I'm actually getting a little bit of a dog pile on iTunes right now as far as reviews go. I got 2 stars and I just got a 3 stars. We're going to get into that in a second. Remember to go to abercast.com and stigmatastudios.com. You can just go to one or the other. They both go to basically the same place. But there's some great stuff about the comic books there and a cool page on the podcast there. I'm actually working on a gallery in the podcast section of the website to where there's links to every episode streaming all at the same time. The idea is like a binge watch sort of situation or whatever, but it's also cool just to have everything there all at one time. You don't need iTunes or a Stitcher or a podcast catcher. You just point and click at the website. We'll play it there. So it's slow. It's still going a little bit, doing all that stuff and everything else I got going on. I got a secret project I'm getting ready to start being able to talk about. A little bit more than halfway done with it, and I'm pretty excited about it. So more on that later in the future for sure. And then I got some of the non-standard assembly stuff is still going through the works. So I'm really excited about that stuff. And, we will talk more about it. Patreon, like I said, I'm breezing through this as fast as I can. Patreon, I have a Patreon page. There's not a whole lot going on there right now, but the idea, the goal on the Patreon page is, I want to start a Books for Soldiers program that are overseas. I am in contact with 2 programs that do this. It's just a matter of being able to pay for the shipping. Shipping books are heavy, and shipping them overseas is crazy. And also pay for the P.O. box and all that stuff. Also, it's an excuse. It's a blatant excuse for me to get T-shirts done and send them out to you guys. And also, I'm very excited about the Oath mason jars. So I'm going to get the Oath and the podcast logo printed on some mason jars for folks when they start being a patron on Patreon. So okay, so I got another lukewarm review on iTunes. This guy P2 Bears says, I guess he's piling on from this other one, ... For example, Battle of the Stones episode. Not till 17 minutes in does the topic even come close to being broached. I want this show and this guy to succeed. Well, thank you very much, P2 Bears. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the time it took for you to weigh in on this topic. So I'm not being sarcastic at all. I really do appreciate it. And I do read these things, and I do take them under advisement. But right now, it's not nearly. It's nearly unlistenable. Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Even though he's covering topics I want to hear. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. A great range of ideas. And he seems to know his stuff. Thank you very much. I pride myself on this vast amount of basically useless knowledge rattling around in my head. Sadly, he can't seem to actually get to his stuff enough. I just can't make myself suffer through the over-casual, over-cursing, and over-repeating himself. I'm sorry, I do work with the loose notes, but unless I'm reading most of the time, I'm just going off the top of my head. So from what I understand is it's irritating people, me repeating myself when I'm trying to get my thoughts in order, rambling to wait for the info that I want. Please listen to yourself. I do listen to myself on occasion, and keep trying, though. Trust your audience more. You don't have to tell us 3 times in 4 different ways. Just say it succinctly and move on to the next thing. Good luck, though. I mean it. I'll try to be back because some hosts do get better. Well, thank you. I really do appreciate the time it took to do this. This is by far the most in-depth rate of the show. Oh, hi. Hold on, we can't spend too much time, okay? All right. So there we go. So I'm going to get right into the episode. And I do also want to say that, math is not my strong point, but these episodes are usually over an hour. And I believe the Battle of the Psalms episode was like an hour and 12 minutes or something. We're going to be talking about Liber 1, which is Liber B, vel Magi sub Figura 1 from Crowley, and we are going to be talking about Liber 2, the Message of the Master Therion, Crowley, and finally we're going to get to probably my favorite bit, Liber 3, vel Jugorum. We're going to be talking about these things because the topic has been broached. So I like to add context. I think that might be part of the problem because in this Battle of 73 Easting, I'm like, we're going to be talking about this tank battle, but I spent almost a whole episode explaining why we were going to be fighting the war in the first place. So I guess that's not technically the battle. So I don't know if that's part of this guy's problem or not. So, but the topic has been broached. I'm explaining what led us here, why we're starting at Liber 1, Liber 2, and Liber 3 after we've already talked about the Book of the Law. We did 3 episodes on the Book of the Law. And so the idea is the Book of the Law is like the big one. And then he kind of starts fleshing these, continues to flesh these ideas out. The Liber B, vel Magi sub Figura 1 is all about it's all about this grade of magician. And he's just talking about this is the highest grade of magician that can manifest on the earth. So he talks about that, and then he talks about in Liber 2, the Message of the Master Therion. It seems to me like he's clarifying the last part of the Book of the Law. This whole Liber is an explanation and clarification on this do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. There should be no law beyond do what thou wilt. So the Master Therion talks quite succinctly about clarifying what that actually means. I think that's important. And then vel Jugorum is it's like a practice. It's like a heavy metal self-help book. And it talks about these practices you can do to break yourself of habits or to form habits or just to exercise self-control. And they all kind of come together with this idea of discipline and this idea of do what thou wilt doesn't necessarily mean do whatever you want. It's about finding your will and sharpening it to one-pointedness, as he says later on. In I think he might talk about that in Liber 2 or Liber 3, one of the two. But anyhow, we're going to get into this. We're going to get into it right now. So if you're keeping track at home, now is the time that I want you to get your mason jar out. Fill it up with ice. You know the drill. Holy spiders. What the fuck? This giant spider just zipped down from the fucking ceiling. All right, buddy, I'm going to leave you alone. You just don't fucking eat me. Okay, fill it up with, you know what to do. Put gin in it, throw some tonic water in there, buckle up, and really, god damn. I'm just going to take a picture of this. Fuck, my phone's dead. All right, here we go. Liber 1, Liber B, vel Magi sub Figura 1. One is the Magus, twain his forces for his weapons. These are the 7 spirits of unrighteousness, the 7 vultures of evil. Thus is the art and the craft of the Magus but glamour. How shall he destroy himself? Yet by the Magus hath power upon the mother, both directly and through love. And the Magus is love, and bindeth together that and this in his conjurations. In the beginning doth the Magus speak truth and send forth illusion and falsehood to enslave the soul. Yet therein, oh geez, it's on my desk. Pew! I'm sorry about that, guys. The spider is not paying attention to my new professional podcaster mandate that I am adhering to. All right, in the beginning doth the Magus speak truth and send forth illusions and falsehoods to enslave the soul. Yet therein is the mystery of redemption. So this is weird because it's saying that through directly, he hath power upon the mother directly through love, and the Magus is love, but he bindeth together this and that to make his conjuration. And then it says, it does this weird, contrarian move where it says, the Magus speaks the truth, but it's all an illusion and falsehood to enslave the soul. In the beginning doth the Magus speak the truth and send forth illusions and falsehood to enslave the soul. Yet therein is the mystery of redemption. By his wisdom made he the worlds, and the Word that is God is none other than he. Now then shall he end his speech. Motherfucker. Now then shall he end his speech with silence, for he is speech. He is the first and the last, and how shall he cease to number himself? He's the first and the last, and how can he cease to number himself? I'm sorry for repeating that. I just am trying to take it all in, you know. But this guy's really got me. This guy's under my skin. By Magus is the writing made known through the mind of the Magister. The one uttereth clearly, and the other understandeth. Yet the word is falsehood, and the understanding darkness. And this saying is of all truth. Nevertheless, it is written, for there be times of darkness, and this is a lamp therein. Okay, we're gonna get into some tarot card imagery. That's going to return in Liber 3. With the wand createth he, with the cup preserveth he, with the dagger destroyeth he, and with the coin redeemeth he. So those are the four suits of the major arcana. His weapon fulfill the wheel, and on what axle that turneth is not known unto him. From all these actions must he cease before the curse of his grade is uplifted from him, before he attain to that which existeth without form. Just to clarify, the coin is the pentagram. just going back, and the dagger would be the sword. Crowley actually designed his own set of tarot cards, which are fascinating, and the differences are very fascinating from the Waite Rider tarot deck. We're actually going to talk about 3 cards, and I'm going to refer to the Arthur Edward Waite, the Pictorial Key to the Tarot here when I get to it in the third in Liber 3. And if at this time he be manifested upon earth as a man, and therefore is this present writing, let this be his method, and the curse of his grade, and the burden upon his attainment be uplifted from him. Let him beware of abstinence from action, for this curse of his grade is that he must speak truth, that the falsehood thereof may enslave the souls of man. Let him then utter that without fear, that the law may be fulfilled. This, according to his original nature, will that law be sharpened, so the one may declare gentleness and quietness, being an Hindu, and another fierceness and servility, being a Jew, and yet another ardor and manliness, being an Arab, yet the matter toucheth the mystery of incarnation, and is not here to be declared. Now the grade of the Magister teacheth the mystery of sorrow, and the grade of the Magus the mystery of change, and the grade of ipsis imus. I was really worried about that one too. In the grade of ipsis imus, the mystery of selflessness, which is also called the mystery of Pan. Let the Magus then contemplate each turn, rising it to the ultimate power of infinity, wherein sorrow is joy, and change is stability, and selflessness is self. So he's doing this again, the ultimate power of infinity, wherein sorrow is joy, change is stability, selflessness is self. So he's again doing this contrary kind of thing. This is the freedom is slavery. The interplay of the parts hath no action upon the whole, and the contemplation shall be performed not by simple meditation, but much less by reason, but by the method which shall have been given unto him in his incarnation or his initiation to the grave. Sorry, I'm going to reread that again because I fucked it up. How much less than by reason, but the method which shall be given unto him in his initiation to the grade, following which method shall be easy for him to combine that trinity from its elements, and further to combine Sat Chit Ananda and the love, light, life, 3 by 3 into 9 that are one, in which meditation success shall be that which was first enumerated to him in the grade of practices, which reflecteth Mercury into the lowest world. Liber 27. There is nothing under its 3 forms. And this is the opening of the grade of ipsismus. And by the Buddhist it is called the trance of Nirodha Sampati. And woe, 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 ye woe, and again woe, 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 unto 7 times be his that preacheth not his law to man. And woe also be unto him that refuseth the curse of this grade of a Magus, and the burden of attainment thereof. And in the word chaos, let the book be sealed. Yea, let the book be sealed. So this thing about how this thing about preaching the book of the law. Remember the closing comment on the book of the law where he's basically like, no one should ever talk about this. No one should try to convert anyone. People need to find Thelema on their own. So that's what I take in this verse 19 or whatever it is. And woe, 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 ye woe. And again, woe, woe, woe. When I say it, in my brain, I sound like Borat. Woe, 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 unto 7 times be his that preacheth not his law to men. So that was, that's it. That's the whole of, Liber B, vel Magi, sub Figura 1. And I just wanted to get that one out of the way, because even though it has a lot of weird, fascinating stuff in it, and some callbacks to the Book of the Law, it's really this Master Therion and this vel Jugorum that I wanted to talk about this evening. But I wanted to I'm kind of a completist. I kind of need to have everything rounded up. So I did need to start out with Liber 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the break here. We're 25 in. If I can find a goddamn pen that works. 20. All right, catch me on the other side, bro. Catch me on the other side, bro. Yeah. Okay, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, Liber 2, the Message of the Master Therion, is basically talking, it's this Master Therion explaining or shedding more light. I don't know if he gets down to explaining it, but shedding more light onto this, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, which is the book of the law. There is no law beyond do what thou wilt. The word of the law is Velhema. Velhema is Thelema. It means will. The key to this, we're going right in. We're just going right in. I'm not setting it up. I'm not talking about it. We're just going right in. The key to this message is the word will. The first obvious meaning of this law is confirmed by its antithesis. The word of sin is restriction. Again, quote, thou hast no right but to do thy will. Do that and no other shall say nay, for pure will unassuaged of purpose, delivered from the lust of result, is in every way perfect, unquote. Take this carefully. It seems to imply a theory that if every man and every woman did his and her will, the true will, there would be no clashing. Every man and every woman is a star, so saith the book of the law. And I just added that part because I thought it sounded more metal. So I'm going to go back, since I've stepped all over, I'm going to go back and reread it. I trust you guys. I do trust you. But I'm going to go back and reread it because I fucked it up. Take this carefully. It seems to imply a theory that if every man and every woman did his and her will, the true will, there would be no clashing. Every man and every woman is a star, and each star moves in the appointed path without interference. There is plenty of room for all. It is only disorder that creates confusion. From these considerations, it should be clear that do what thou wilt does not mean do what you like. It is the apotheosis of freedom, but it is the strictest possible bond. Okay, so I do have to talk a little bit about these last two things. This idea that every man and every woman is a star, and each star travels upon their own path unimpeded. There is plenty of room for all. It is only disorder that creates confusion. This is, he will talk later about one-mindedness, or a mind driven, or a will sharpened to a single pointedness. And I think this is what he's talking about. And he kind of speaks about it in the vel Jugorum, when he's talking about practices to focus or whatever on different ways on how to exercise control over your body and your mind. I think that this is Liber 2 and Liber 3 are meant to be read together. I think. So when you have this disorder, this thinking like your will being divided is what creates confusion, and it creates paths being thrown, or obstacles being thrown in your path. I think that's fascinating. And it reminds me of Lateralis, that Tool song, where he's talks about black and white are all he sees in his infancy. It's only when he starts recognizing these other colors, and then the song goes on to say overthinking and overanalyzing separates your body from your mind. I think that's fascinating. We know because of the magnum opus of alchemy that song is talking about alchemy. But alchemy is something that also Crowley spoke about a lot, and he talked a lot about, this is when we get into the main drive of alchemy or this magical process is uniting or reuniting these opposites. You could just the Simon Magus episode when we were doing the Gnostic, when we were talking about the Gnostics, is a great episode to listen to for more of that, and also the Garden of Eden, separating Adam and Eve, separating the male and female, and then the Simon and Magus. Now, look, I'm not rambling, dudes. I'm not rambling. I'm talking about how this relates to other episodes of the show. This is not rambling. So the next thing that I want to talk about is this line. From the consideration, it should be clear that do what thou wilt does not mean do what you like. It is the apotheosis of freedom. This is the making your freedom into God. Your freedom becoming God. It's not just do whatever you want. It's do what your will says. And he follows this up by saying it is the strictest possible bond. And when I'm reading this, I'm like, what is it a moral bond? Is he talking about an ethical obligation? Is he talking about some radical form of secular morality? I'm not sure now that I'm thinking about this. The strictest possible bond also could be responsibility. And I think I'm going to fall more on the side of responsibility here. That this apotheosis of freedom is your responsibility. All right, back to this book. Do what thou wilt, then do nothing else. Let nothing deflect thee from that austere and holy task. Liberty is absolute to do thy will, but seek to do any other thing whatever, and instantly obstacles must arise. I'm not repeating myself. I'm just going to go back and read this because I fucked it up. Do what thou wilt, then do nothing else. Let nothing deflect thee from that austere and holy task. Liberty is absolute to do thy will, but seek to do any other thing whatever, and instantly obstacles must arise. Every act that is not in definite course with the one orbit is erratic. Any hindrance must not be two, but one. Man, that is, woo! I just got chills. This is the single pointed will that he will talk about. We'll talk about later. This is being of one mind, sharpening your will to a single pointedness. And if you stray from that, if you let another goal in your will or whatever, I'm not a philosopher too, also, by the way, but if you divide your will, instantly obstacles must arise. I think that's fascinating. Note further that this will not only be pure, that is single, unexplained above, as explained above, but also, quote, unassuaged of purpose, unquote. This strange phrase must give us pause. It may mean that any purpose in the will would damp it. Clearly, the lust of result is a thing from which we must be delivered. Okay, so when we're doing things, we can't lust after results. we can't lust after results, why are we doing them? We are doing them because it is our will. Hold on, I gotta lube up for a second. But the phrase may also be interpreted as if it read, quote, with purpose unassuaged, i.e. with tireless energy. The conception is therefore of an internal motion, infinite and unalterable. It is nirvana, only dynamic instead of static. And this comes to the same thing in the end. Obviously, practical task of the magician is then to discover what his will really is, so that he may do it in a manner that can best accomplish this by the practices of Liber B, or such others as may be one time to another be appointed. Okay, so here we go. Thou must, 1, find out what is thy will. 2, do that will with a one-pointedness, detachment, and peace. I want to reread it, but I'm not going to because I trust you guys. Then only out thou in harmony with the movement of things, thy will part of and therefore equal to the will of God. And since the will is but the dynamic aspect of the self, and since two different selves could not possess identical wills, then if thy will be God's will, thou art that. Oh. There is but one word to explain. Elsewhere it is written, surely for our great comfort, quote, love is the law, love under will, unquote. This is to be taken as meaning that while will is the law, the nature of that will is love. But this is love as it were a byproduct of that will. It does not contradict or supersede that will. And if apparent contradiction should arise in any crisis, it is the will that will guide us aright. Lo, while the book of the law is much of love, there is no word of sentimentality. Hate itself is almost like love. Quote, as brothers fight ye, unquote. All the manly races of the world understand this. The love of Liber Legis is always bold, virile, even orgiastic. But there is delicacy. But it is the delicacy of strength. Mighty and terrible and glorious as it is, however, it is but the pennon of the sacred lance of will. A Damascened inscription upon the swords of the knight monks of Thelema. Love is the law, love under will. I gotta decompress for a second. All right, before we get into Liber 3, vel Jugorum, I'm going to be deferring to Arthur Edward Waite's The Pictorial Key to the Tarot card for 3 cards. We're going to talk about 3 cards. And these cards are specifically referenced in the 3 practices of the Jugorum. The first, I'm going to do them in order, how they appear in the Jugorum. Let me just double check myself here. Yep, okay. So the first card we're going to talk about is the Magician. So these are major arcana cards. It's the 1 card. It's the second one is the 2 card, and then the 0 card. That's weird too. Okay. The Magician. A youthful figure in a robe of a magician, having the countenance of a divine Apollo and the smile of confidence and shining eyes. Above his head is the mysterious sign of the Holy Spirit, and the sign of life like an endless cord forming the figure 8 in a horizontal position. He should have just said, like, the symbol for infinity, but about his waist is a serpent cincture, and the serpent appearing to devour its own tail. This is, as we all know, it's the Ouroboros. This is familiar to most as a conventional symbol of eternity, but here it indicates more especially that eternity of attainment in the spirit. In the magician's right hand is a wand raised towards heaven, while in his left hand is pointing to earth. This dual sign is known in the very high grades of institutional mysteries. It shows the descent of grace and virtue and light, drawing from things above and derived to things below. As above, so below. The suggestion throughout is therefore the possession of the communication of the powers and the gift of the spirit. On the table in front of the magician are, do you remember what they are? Are the symbols of the 4 tarot suits. Do you remember? Are you racking your brain trying to remember what they are? Because the book never says, but I will. But I will. It has the pentagram, which in our talk today is represented in the text by the coin. There's the sword, which represented in the text we're talking about today as the dagger, the wand, and the cup. Do you remember what? Hold on. I want to go back and just do this real quick. The wand createth he, with the cup preserveth he, with the dagger destroyeth he, and with the coin redeemeth he. I lost my place. I'm an asshole. On the table in front of the magician are the symbols of the 4 tarot suits, signifying the elements of natural life, which lie like counters before the adept. And he adapts them as he wills, beneath the roses and lilies, changed into garden flowers, to shew the culture and the aspiration. The card signifies the divine motive in man. The divine motive in man, reflecting God, the will in the liberation of its union, and that which is above. It is also the unity of individual beings on all planes, and is a very high sense, it is thought, in the fixation thereof, with further reference to what I have called the sign of life, and its connection with the number 8. And it is to be remembered that Christian Gnosticism speaks of rebirth in Christ as change unto the Ogdoad. The Ogdoad. The mystic number is termed Jerusalem above, and the land flowing with milk and honey. The Holy Spirit and the land of the Lord, according to Martinism. 8 is the number of Christ. All right, so I did hear a buzzword in there. He talked about the will. This card signifies the divine motive in man, reflecting God. In the will, the liberation of its union. See? All right, we're moving on to card 2, which is the guardian of the left hand. Left hand gateway of the crown. It's card number 2. It's the High Priestess. She has the lunar crescent at her feet, in a horned diadem on her head with the globe in the middle place, and a large solar cross on her breast. The scroll in her hand is inscribed with the word Torah, signifying the greater law, the secret law, and the second sense of the word. It is partly covered by her mantle to shew that some things are implied and some spoken. She is seated between the white and black pillars, J and B, which people that listen to the show will know that the J pillar is Jack Orkin, and the B pillar is Boaz. Probably some of those Mason episodes we did would get into that. It is the mystic temple, and the veil of the temple is behind her. It is embroidered with palms and pomegranates, and its vestments are flowing with gauzy and the mantle suggests the light, a shimmering radiance. She has been called occult science on the threshold of the sanctuary of Isis. This is not the Allahu Akbar, Isis. This is the other Isis. But what is really the secret church, the house which is of God and man, who represents the second marriage of the prince who is no longer in this world. She is the spiritual bride and mother and the daughter of the stars. It is the higher garden of Eden. She is, in fine, the queen of the borrowed light. But this is the light of all. She is the moon, nourished by the milk of its supernal mother. In a manner, she is also the supernal mother herself. It is to say that she is the bright reflection. It is the sense of the reflection of her truest and highest name in Bolism, in Sikana, the cohabiting glory. According to Kabbalism, there is a Sikana both above and below. I see a theme. In the superior world, it is called Binna, in the supernal understanding that reflects to the lower emanations that are beneath. In the lower world, it is Makulith, and the word being the purpose, understood as a blessed kingdom that with it is blah, 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 blah. Mystically speaking, the Sakana is the spiritual bride. And, okay, so we're going to be talking about the third card. And that's the Fool card, which is the 0 card. When these tarot cards became looked down upon in medieval times or whatever, and they turned into playing cards. So they got rid of the major arcana, and just dealt with the minor arcana, and the pentacles became, I don't know, the pentacles became a diamond. The diamond. The sword became spades. The wands became clubs. And the cups became hearts, right? So, and this is not new. There's a fucking Batman cartoon that actually explains all this. It's when he's fighting the deck of card, the Royal Flush Gang or whatever. But they very rudimentally break it down. But the one like major arcana card that they did keep was the Fool card. They turned it into the Joker card. So there you go. That they didn't explain. Ironically, they didn't explain that in the Batman cartoon, but whatever. Zero, the Fool. With light step, as if earth and its trammels had little power to restrain him, the young man in a gorgeous vestments paused at the brink of a precipice among great heights of the world. He surveys the blue distance before him, its expanse of the sky rather than the prospects below. His act of eager walking is still indicated, although he is stationary at the given moment. His dog is still bounding at the edge which opens on the depths. Has no terror. It is as if the angels were waiting to uphold him if he came about that it leaped from the height. His countenance is full of intelligence and expectant dream. He is a rose in one hand and the other a costly wand, from which depends over his right shoulder. A wallet curiously embroidered. He is a prince of the other world and is traveling through this one. All amidst the morning glory in the keen air. The sun which shines behind him knows whence he came, whither he is going, and how he will return by another path. After many days he is the spirit in searching of experience. Many symbols of the instituted mysteries are summarized in this card, which reverses under high warrants all the confusion that may have preceded it. So this book, I should also say that they put the 0 at the end of the major arcana card. So I think that the way it works, okay, so the 20 major arcana cards and then 0, where most people would put the 0 first. So when I look at this book, he's at the end. So this is what I'm just explaining, that this is what they're talking about when the symbols in the instituted mysteries are summarized in this card, which reverses under high warrants all the confusion that may have preceded it. So all the confusion that may have preceded it are the other cards that it goes before. But ironically, some people, I actually think that I subscribe to this theory that the major arcana, if you lay them out starting with 0, it's the story of the fool going through these different stages of like the hero's journey or whatever. I mean, we talked about Joseph Campbell ad nauseum a month or two ago. And we're going to get into it. Like, I have so much to say about the tarot that it's going to be its own series of shows eventually. So I will just hold my tongue here. The Manual of Cartomancy, the Great Orient, has a curious suggestion on the office of the mystic fool as part of the process in higher divination, but it might call for more than ordinary gifts to be put in operation. All right, we're kind of off the card already. This conventional explanation says that the fool signifies the flesh and sensitive life, and by particular satire and its subsidiary name, that it was one time the alchemist. What? And depicting the folly that the most insensitive stage. Jeez. Okay. All right. So we're done with this. That was Arthur Edward Waite's The Pictorial Guide to the Tarot. I actually have like 3 copies of this book. I keep one down here in the studio, and I have one upstairs. And I think I have one out on loan. All right. Let's see. What do I do? Should I just go right into this? I've done all this work setting it up. Okay. Liber 3. Vel Jugorum. And I said that this is like my favorite one because it's like a heavy metal it's like a heavy metal self-help book. So I might break into some sweet guitar licks here while I'm going through this. I'll try not to. You guys probably might not like that. You might be babbling too much. Liber 3, vel Jugorum. Behold the yoke upon the neck of the oxen. It is not thereby that the field shall be plowed. The yoke is heavy, but joineth together them are separate. Glory to Nuit, and to Hadit, and to him that hath given us the symbol of the rosy cross. Okay, so I'm going to just add some stuff in here right now, so we don't have to keep pointing it out. Okay, how do I best say this? Okay, so the first practice, we're going to be talking about a unicorn, right? And we're going to be talking about the unicorn, and we're going to be talking about the magician card. And then the second practice, we're going to be talking about the horse. And we're also going to be talking about the fool. Is that right? Okay, we're going to be talking about the fool. And then in the third practice, we're going to be talking about the ox. And we're going to be talking about the high priestess. So this first line, I'm going to read it again just because I didn't draw attention to it before, so I'm not really repeating myself and putting it into a different context. The the unicorn is speech. Oh wait, hold on. Behold the yoke upon the neck of the oxen. It is not thereby that the field shall be plowed. The yoke is heavy, but joineth together are separate. Glory to Nuit, and to Hodit, and to him that has given us the symbol of the rosy cross. So here we're talking about the three. Characters, the three deities from the Book of the Law. Nuit, who was the motherly figure, or the female principle, Hodit, who is the male principle, and him that hath given us the symbol of the rosy cross, would be Harpocrates, or Horus. So he's identifying them right now. Going back to the book. Glory unto the Lord of the Word, Abracadabra, and glory unto him that hath given us the symbol of the Ankh and the cross within the circle. Hey, cross within the circle? I have that tattoo. There are beasts wherewith thou must plow the field, the unicorn, the horse, and the ox. And these shall thou yoke in a triple yoke that is governed by one whip. All right, so remember the Therion talk that we did? This one whip is the one-pointedness of will driving these three beasts. So we're going to talk about what the beasts are and what they represent here. But this is him basically like, hey, you remember all that shit that Master Therion said? This is what we're talking about, yo. This is the next step to it. Nothing shall be said here of Cerberus, the great beast of hell, that is every one of these and all of these. That is every one of these and all of these. Even as Athanasius hath foreshadowed, for this matter is not of Tiphareth without, but Tiphareth within. All right, we're moving into practice 1. The unicorn is speech man. Rule thy speech. How else shalt thou master the sun? The sun as in your little boy, not the burning nuclear fire in space. The unicorn is speech man. Rule thy speech. How else shalt thou master the sun and answer the magician at the right hand of the crown? Here are practices. Many, each may last for a week or more. Avoid using some common words such as and, or the, or but. Use a paraphrase. Instead of some letter of, avoid using some letter of the alphabet, such as T, or S, or M. Use a paraphrase. Avoid using pronouns and adjectives for the first person. Use a paraphrase of thine own, this one is difficult, of thy own ingenium, devise others. I understand what it means, I just have a hard time getting my tongue around it. Ingenium. What he's saying is use your own imagination to devise other tests. So going forward for the next two practices, I'm just going to say that so I don't have to embarrass myself by saying I can't pronounce this word. Okay, so he's saying don't stop using common words. Stop using specific common words. Stay away from specific letters of the alphabet, or use pronouns. Avoid using pronouns and adjectives for the first person. And if you don't like these, use your imagination to devise other tests. On each occasion that thou art betrayed into saying that thou art sworn to avoid, cut thyself sharply upon thy wrist or forearm with a razor. Even as thou shouldest beat a disobedient dog, feareth not the unicorn, the claws and the teeth of the lion. Thine arm then serveth thee both for a warning and a record. Thou shalt write down thy daily progress of these practices until thou art perfectly vigilant at all times over the least word that slippeth from thy tongue. Thus bind thyself, and thou shalt be forever free. Practice 2. The horse is action, man. Rule thine action. How else shalt thou master the father, and answer the fool at the left-hand gateway of the crown? Here are practices, each may last for a week or more. Avoid lifting the left arm above the waist. Avoid crossing the legs. Of thy own imagination devise others. On each occasion thou art betrayed into doing that thou art sworn to avoid, cut thyself sharply upon the wrist or forearm with a razor, even as thou shalt beat a disobedient dog. Fear it not the horse, the teeth of the camel. Thine arm then serveth thee both as a warning and for a record. Thou shalt write down thy daily progress in these practices until thou art perfectly vigilant at all times over the least action that slippeth from thy fingers. Thus bind thyself, and thou shalt be forever free. Practice 3. The ox is thought. Man, rule thy thought. How else shalt thou master the Holy Spirit and answer the high priestess in the middle gateway of the crown? Here are practices, each may last for a week or more. Avoid thinking a definite subject and all things connected with it, and let that subject be one which commonly occupies much of thy thought, being frequently stimulated by sense perceptions or the conversations of others. By some device such as changing of thy ring from one finger to another, create in thyself two personalities. This is fascinating. Wow. Okay, by some device such as changing of thy ring from one finger to another, create thyself two personalities, the thoughts of one being within entirely different limits from that of the other, the common ground being the necessities of life. Of thy own imagination devise others. On each occasion that thou art betrayed into thinking thou art sworn to avoid, cut thyself sharply upon thy wrist and forearm with the razor, even as thou shouldest beat a disobedient dog. Feareth not the oxen or the goad of the plowman. Thine arm then serveth both as a warning and for record. Thou shalt write down thy daily progress in these practices, and thou art perfectly vigilant at all times over the least of these that arriveth in thy brain. Thus bind thyself, and thou shalt be forever free. All right, so my last thing that I want to just talk about is this third practice. The ox is thought, man, roll thy thought. How else should thou master the Holy Spirit and answer the high priestess in the middle gateway of the crown? So when I was reading that, I was actually thinking about this high priestess card, because I was just looking at it when I read it. When I read that shit, hold on, I'm trying to find it. Okay, so she's sitting in the middle path. So Boaz is on one side of her. Remember the pillars? I was talking about the pillars. The Boaz is on one side of her. Jacqueline is on the other side of her, and she's sitting in the middle. And I'm like, okay, well, that's the middle path. And then I was thinking that the description also talked about the middle of her crown. She's got this, hold on, a horned diadem at her feet with the globe in the middle place. Oh, sorry. I was like, I'm mixing two things up. As she has the lunar crescent at her feet, a horned diadem on her head with the globe in the middle place. So it makes sense that she's the guardian of the middle. She's got so much middle shit going on. She's in the middle of these two things. There's a globe in the middle of her head or whatever. Yeah, okay, so I guess that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and just not do a whole bunch of like commentary after, and we'll wrap this up. We'll do our thing, and if you hold on to the end, I actually have some shit that I have an idea about. I want to know what you guys think about it. So hang in there till the end, and then we'll wrap up with Soda Jerk fucking fight, just like always, or not always, but just like recently, like we've been doing that. So yeah, here we go. Thank you guys for listening so much. I appreciate the time that you guys take to listen to me babble passionately about these things that I love. And like I said, I was. I am very concerned about these review. I'm not very concerned about the reviews, but I am listening. I am paying attention to it. So if you guys think that might help or whatever, I'm open to all that stuff. I'm open to not babbling so much at the beginning or whatever. I guess. Fuck, if I gotta do it. The cursing though, the excessive cursing. I mean. I've really, there has to be a line somewhere. Motherfuckers. All right, so here we go. Thank you guys. Rate and review on iTunes. Check out stigmatastudios.com. Check out abercast.com. Remember the Patreon account. I'm trying to get that lifted. I'm trying to get that rolling so we could start doing this Books for Soldiers thing I've been trying so long to do. I'm going to be going and cooking. We're doing steaks. I'm going to be grilling up some steaks right after this, so I'm excited. I've had them marinating for like hours, and I'm ready to go. And then tomorrow I'm going to be shooting all day. So the show will definitely be up by Monday. Not like you're listening to this in any kind of way that this news will do anything for you. But the show will be up on time, even though I'm going. And I'm going to be shooting a lot of shit tomorrow. I'm very excited. Going out to the farm, shooting some shit. Here we go. And... I hope you guys like the show. I hope you like the topic. Let me know if you like these Thelema topics or not. Find me on all my social...
Vienna.
Find me on all my social medias. You can find the links at the bottom of whichever of those websites you go to. They all go to the same place. So you can find all my social media links down there. Reach out. Fucking whatever. Yeah.
1683.
Vienna Boys Choir.
Today is September 11th, 1683. The mighty army of the Ottoman Empire, led by the savage and radical terror troops of the Dar al-Harb, surround the walled city of Vienna and begin a siege to break the golden apple of Europe and kill, enslave, or convert all of its inhabitants. The valiant citizens stand against the tyrannical army with the steadfast leadership of Count Ernst Rudiger von Stromberg, the help of the ever-living rebel, Cyrus, the dead guy, and the hopes of the faraway King Jan Sobieski III and his army of flying hussars. The Vienna 1683 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us. The Non-Standard Squad, 1944. World War II. 3 weird American soldiers are on a search and rescue mission into the oldest and darkest regions of Europe. A cursed, ever-living warrior, Cyrus the Dead Guy. An experimental warbot, Sergeant Lane McCord. An all-red axe, mysterious rogue with a demon-possessed arm, come face-to-face with an army of magically corrupted machine-obsessed elves, a magic hammer-wielding Norse Ubermensch, and a Nazi wizard who is a member of the ancient Dark Order of the Shining Hexagon. The Non-Standard Squad 1944 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us.
All right, so what I want to talk about now that everyone else is gone, it's just me and you, is I was just wondering if any of you guys would like to try like a Liber 3 challenge. Like if any of you guys got like shaky leg syndromes, or you guys wanted to like stop burping into the microphones or stop going on ramblings while you're doing the show, or like whatever. If you want to give the Liber 3 a shot. I was wondering if you guys would be interested in doing something like that, since it seems like this arm slashing thing, part of it is like a public embarrassment sort of deal. Maybe we could like use Instagram or something and just do like a Liber 3 hashtag, Liber 3 challenge hashtag or something. I wouldn't be like condemning or whatever, asking you guys to slash your arm for sure. Like when the Thelemites do this, a lot of times, what they'll say is like, have a tight rubber band around your wrist, and whenever you catch yourself slipping, you know how you do? You fucking snap your rubber band. So I was just wondering if any of you guys would be interested in doing it out there, because I would love to try it as a team building exercise. And like we could just come up with something arbitrary, or we can come up with something in our personal lives or goals or something that we want to do. So just want to ask you guys now. I would be slashing. The reason I would be slashing is because one of the Stigmata Studios mission statements is, if something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing, and moderation is for suckers. So I don't know if Instagram would let me post pictures of slashed arms or whatever. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get to it. I'm just wondering if anybody would be interested in trying these practices. Maybe we could do like a whole month. Do each month or each week we could do a different practice or something. I don't know. I'm down for it. I just wanted to know what you guys thought about it and about everything else. I don't know. What do you think about the show? Whatever. Reach out to me. If you don't want to do it on social media, towers113@gmail.com. Okay, with that being said, here we go. We're going to wrap this up. I got to go start grilling, bros. It's fucking late, and I got inking and grilling to do. Inking and grilling. So my whole life, doing dishes, inking, and grilling. It's not so bad. It's not such a bad life. Thank you guys again. Remember to do all that other bullshit that I talked about, and reach out to me if you're interested in trying this Liber 3 challenge. All right, bye. I love you. I love you all so much. Bye. Soda jerk, everybody. Fucking fight.
I was just 14 when I had my first sip. In my darling whiskey, she tightened up her grip, and she made me sick that night. And I knew that the whiskey would take up my life. Well, I stand a full 2 inches below 5'9", and every guy here wants to take me alive. So I'll take a shot of whiskey and punch out their lights. The whiskey, it make me wanna fucking fight. I fucking fight. The whiskey, it makes me wanna fucking fight. Well, every woman here up in this place, not even the crack of dawn is safe. So I'll take a shot of whiskey and say